Get to hear Sacred Use Empowerment Program, Inspire, Innovate, and Ignite, Conversations That Count. And today's topic is on bringing back the sacred. And before we get into that, I want to start with a little lament. It's from the UN Environmental Sabbath, and I'm actually going to read about how we have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten who we are. We have alienated ourselves from the unfolding of the cosmos. We have become estranged from the movements of the earth. We have turned our backs on the cycles of life. We have forgotten who we are. We have sought only for our own security. We have exploited simply for our own needs. We have distorted our knowledge. We have abused our power. We have forgotten who we are. Now the land is barren, and the waters are poisoned, and the air is polluted. We have forgotten who we are. Now the forests are dying, and the creatures are disappearing, and the humans are despairing. We ask for forgiveness. We ask for the gift of remembering. We ask for the strength to change. So we join with the earth and with each other to bring new life to the land, to restore the waters, to refresh the air. We join with the earth and with each other to renew the forests, to care for the plants, to protect the creatures, to celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars. So we join with each other and the earth to recall our destiny, to renew our spirits, to reinvigorate our bodies. We join with the earth and with each other to create the human community, to promote justice and peace, to remember our children. We join together as many and diverse expressions of one loving mystery for the healing of the earth and for the renewal of all life, because this is who we are. And let me introduce you to who we are here tonight. We have intuitive interior designer and medicine woman Alexa Wilk, Julie Nelson, who is a witch, botanical perfumer, astrologer, and creator of the Fragrant Oracle, Lisa DePamphilis, who is an intuitive mentor, facilitator, strategist, who is internationally recognized in the world of business, online marketing, and awakening consciousness. And then we have Susan Patterson, who's an international speaker and author, and has co-written 3 best-selling books, 2 novels, 3 volumes of poetry, and life and spiritual growth guidebooks. And I'm Jennifer Regular, the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path, and honored to be leading this amazing panel discussion tonight to bring back the sacred. So welcome to all of you and to all of our panelists here tonight. I am excited to dive in. And, we started that lament with what we've forgotten, what we've become disconnected from. And I'm curious as we go around tonight about where do you think that disconnection happened? Where has that disconnection happened? How is that showing up in your life? What are you noticing? Susan, why don't we start with you?
That's a very it's an easy but a difficult question. I noticed it happening in the 80s. I worked in New York City, and I saw from the 70s there was hope. There was a real movement toward the embracing of nature. And in the 80s, it evaporated. It literally evaporated. And people became focused on one thing, and that was making money. And I felt it all around me. It made me very uncomfortable. But I couldn't identify where it was coming from. But it was very difficult for me to handle. I left the city and I moved to the country, and I found people who were more focused on living in harmony with the world of nature. And I found a home. At the same time, the world around us seemed to not want to do that. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And it really spoke to my heart and soul when you mentioned about being around people who wanted to be in harmony.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And when I'm not around people like that, I feel get lost.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I really got.
I have to say that lament that you read, I really that was powerful.
Mm.
And we have forgotten. And I have seen I have seen places that are supposed to be sacred, places and people that are intended to guide us, guide the people into sacred practices. And they have abandoned, if they ever had a calling, they have abandoned that and they preach the gospel of prosperity, as they call it.
Mm.
At least in the United States, that's what I've seen. God wants you to be rich, so.
Wow. Wow.
And that's
Thank
not
you.
what I recall reading.
No. No, there's a disconnect there too, right? From what we think
Yes,
we
yes,
understand and what's being projected.
yes.
Yeah.
And I
Lisa,
think
what are
we're all, go ahead.
Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with Susan, and I've seen, a lot of that over my lifetime too. But I do want to say that if you look at the history of mankind, it is fairly recently that this mess, as you will, this major disconnection has really come to the surface. I mean, we can see bits and pieces of it over the last thousands of years, but really, since the 60s, 70s, you can see a major turn. And I think in the 90s, when the corporations were, like the big thing to wear suits to work and to go and, make money at the corporate office, and everybody had the company credit card. And I think that was really exploited. And that was like the height of the disconnect. So it's all man-made. It's all man-made. And we are allowing our ego to control our life. And that is the disconnect. It's like we need to get back to the cycles and the seasons and the feelings and the alignment of things, so that we can really be in attunement with the land and with the earth and with the people. And so I think it's just, we've gotten away from that because of the cycle of life, the way things are. And we're seeing this awakening on the planet, and it's had to look ugly before it looks better. And I think it's just part of the process. So that's what I will say.
Like that. Thank you so much for sharing, Lisa. And yeah, it's part of the process. And also you mentioned about attunement back into the cycles, into nature and the natural rhythm. And when we can really feel into that rhythm, we build the momentum again and come into harmony with each other and the planet and the cycles and all of nature and the cosmos as well. All of that influencing us. Julie, what do you think? How did we become so disconnected?
I agree with both Susan and Lisa, and coming to a very basic level, if I think about now, because the disconnection, even just over the last 5 years, has been massive, like I've never witnessed before, or at least here. And there's so many things. There's technology, our phones, our computers, and all of this that keep us, and they have their place, absolutely. I'm not saying that, but I feel that part of that has created that human disconnection face to face, just on a very personal level, like in our close environment. And then in saying that, if I think about it, for me, it's broadened my community and connection in other ways. So I feel it comes back to the individual to take responsibility, because all these things happen, and yes, it's the cycle of life and all the different things. And I do believe that astrologically as well, when you look at it, we're in the very beginning of systems being broken down for the new to be rebuilt, dark to shed everything, to come back and re-begin in a new way. But at the end of the day, for me, we are the ones that create the disconnect individually, because we don't stand up, or many don't stand up. And so therefore, I believe it's up to us to take the responsibility. So people, humans, have created the disconnect, even as close as your neighbor or your family, let alone globally. So that's all I have to say on that one.
Yeah, and you're right. It's up to us. It's up to us, and it speaks also to the power that we have for reconnection, for creating that change. We can do something about this. We can undo what we've done. We can take some course correction. Absolutely. Alexa, what are your thoughts on this? How did we become so disconnected?
Yeah, I mean, I want to just take from what all of you have shared so far and actually go back to the real sacred, which was when the feminine was in our sacred prime in the temples, right? As a priestess. And the divine masculine really was, I feel like the only divine masculine I can say I know so far is like Jesus, and he was killed just like we were killed, right? We were all burned, all the witches, right? And if we think about, I feel like from that period of time to what you were saying, Susan, like the 80s, when you said that, and of course you can tell I'm young, I wasn't around for the 80s, but when you said the 80s, immediately I got the chills. Like something really shifted then, and we don't know what it was. And from that period of time, the burning time, to about all that time, like the 80s point, there's a lot of darkness, struggling, heaviness. Not that we're not struggling with heaviness now, but it was a collective heaviness where like it was just like known that we all would struggle. And I think that's why we struggle with this constant struggle today of disconnection, is because we like grew up and always knew that way, since we always had to hide. We had to hide after the burning times. We had to hide after things were encrypted to be the way, and you had to go dormant. And so since the 80s, I really think, though, that it's been really heavy and dark, it's also been the deepest form of polarity. We've had the like biggest darks, and money being a factor, right? Big polarity and just money, but also we've had this rise of like insanely spiritual beings coming to fruition. And like, look at the new generation today. They're not wanting to go through the system. They're not wanting to go to school and follow the ways that we've done it, because they know there's something messed up here. And so though we're at the darkest time since maybe the 80s, we're also at the lightest times. And I think that we're meant to see that the money right now and that force for such materialistic gain and war and whatever things outside of ourselves are trying to show us that the spirituality, or just the connection, the deeper connection to our earth, to the mother, to the God, is really what's the true connection. And actually there's even a blend, right? Because wealth is not just money. It is an internal state. And yeah, so that's where I think the disconnection is so much bigger right now, and we're all coming home to it, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about the darkness and the heaviness, and there's a real call for the light leaders, the light bringers, the light beers to shine that light, right? To be the light, to illuminate that darkness and the wisdom, and to illuminate those ancient ways, to bring that back. as well. And the sacredness, just having reverence for life, the mental attitude and mindset of how sacred and precious life is. And to bring back that sense of reverence and awe and wonder for possibilities and just all of creation, the mystery, the beauty that exists all around us is there too. And there was mention too, I think it was Susan that mentioned about the lands, the sacred places, and the lands that millions of people have visited, hundreds of thousands of people have visited. And while that's beautiful that people want to connect with that, it's also contaminated those places, with all of the different energies, and it's become really discordant. And in some places you can't get so close anymore, right? And like Uluru, for example, you can't walk on it anymore. You can't walk on her anymore. There's that returning to the sacred land as well is giving space for that time for renewal to happen, which is also what's happening now, right? There's a deep sense of backing away, taking a step back and allowing for that renewal to come as well, for us to restore our sense of wellness and our sense of being and the light, to return to the light and the sacred and the reverence for life. And so I'm wondering individually how you feel impacted. What do you feel disconnected from? Whether it be yourself or the land or family or anything, I'm curious, what is it that you feel disconnected from yourself, Susan?
I didn't realize it at the time, but when Alexa mentioned she got the chills about during the 80s, it became so clear to me that there was another wave of erasure. They were trying to erase the feminine. We were required to dress within a suit. Many of us wore ties like men. And over time, I think the divine feminine has happened repeatedly, that it has something has attempted to take it away from us. And we have become disconnected from the very essence of creativity. We, the feminine, bring new life into the world. We can create a family. We can create a business. We can create so many things, yet we lack respect in the broader culture. And that bothers me.
Thank you for sharing that. Alexa, back to you. What do you feel disconnected from?
No, thank you. I was about to chime in. Yeah, actually, just like you said, Susan, I think that to your point, it's almost like it's amazing. I have a girlfriend who was sharing about the work that I do to a group of men, and she was like, "Hold up, all of you need to really hear this." And I was like, "You said this to a group of men?" Because men just want to don't want to hear it, right? The magic, the medicine that women have, the oracle within ourselves. And she's like, no, she walks around and she does shit that you wouldn't even imagine. And right. And I was like, you said this to men. And I was so scared. But you know what? Men want to see it. They just never been shown. And they love it. And it's sad. And if you can start to infiltrate your family and the men that you do start to feel connected with, but your question on where I feel disconnected is with men recently. And I'm just sharing my personal journey. I've always had a connection with men, and recently it's just been really being seen in my divine feminine, since I've grown in deeper connection with that, because it has been erased, and realizing the real depths and truth. I really want to reconnect with the divine masculine in the man, because really we need each other. And yeah, and that's what I'm working on, even though it's scary as heck, because for some reason there's this fear that they're just going to maybe destroy everything that we have or know or can do. So yeah.
Thank you. Julie, Do you feel disconnected from anything?
Yeah, I do. I have a very different view about being disconnected from men. And it's my personal view because I don't believe personally I need to be with a man. I definitely feel that it's important to have a balance with the masculine and feminine. Absolutely. I mean, we need everything to be in balance. I love having men as friends, but I've been through a lot of trauma, so I made the decision that I would stay on my own. And I am the most empowered, powerful, confident woman rising unapologetically because I am on my own. So I think that's a very individual thing, but as a collective, absolutely, we need to have the balance of the divine masculine and feminine. On a scale of community too, I've recently moved back to the Blue Mountains, so I have a lot of connection with nature. Nature is so important to me, and I sit in it, so that's powerful. But I do feel community at times. So although I have my own community, I do feel that there is a disconnect in a lot of communities because there's always the excuse, and I will say it's an excuse, because we do and can make time for connection, but everybody's busy and everybody's tired. And you can recharge yourself and help with inner healing through by being connected with your community. So that's really important for me. And for a while I did feel disconnected because I came back to an environment that I hadn't been for many years, and so I've started over again, but it's starting to get better, and I make an effort to connect, and I do a ritual every day. So, I intentionally meet with the people that I desire to be connected with. And I am all for women rising unapologetically. That's my work. And the divine feminine essence coming back, which I think she is. I still think she's got a bit of a ways to go with the patriarchy. Can't speak for another country. I can only speak for where I am. And I believe that Australia is a very patriarchal, masculine country. And I'm looking forward to the systems being broken down so that we can create more connection and more balance for everyone. That's me.
Thank you for sharing what you stand for, and yeah, where that disconnect can happen. Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. I love what everybody's saying. And I think what I feel called to share right now is that I've been in a healing bubble for the last maybe 3 years. And it's been, it's been at first it was letting everything go and being able to just receive myself and accept myself and continuing to do the work that I do while doing this deep dive personal spiritual work to really get to the depths of my magic and allowing that to unfold and feeling really super connected, but hearing the message that that's not the purpose. The purpose is to go out and be among the people. The purpose is not for me just to be by myself in my own process. And so as I've been going out and being among the people and being normal, quote unquote, there's all these other challenges to navigate. And so how do you stay connected while you're out with other people who don't know this path, don't know or understand? And it really is about standing in your truth and being that beam of light and being that no matter what, and knowing that I'm connected at all times, no matter what I'm doing, who I'm with. My magic is always there. And it's allowing that to be witnessed, which is the scary part. Like what you said, Alexa, it's like, that's the scary part is, yeah, I'm able to do this beautiful work. And when I'm in the presence of a man who's willing to witness me, that's the most vulnerable space. But that's what I want. That's what we all want. We all want to be witnessed in our work. And so that is my path right now. It's like that feeling, navigating the connection that I have within me all the time, so that I don't feel disconnected, because sometimes I'm like, oh, it has to look like this structure for me to be connected. No, it doesn't. And so that's what I wanted to share. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that vulnerability too. And yeah, that being able to reconcile the internal and the external, and who we want around us in our space, and how we relate to each other, that interpersonal activities that happen, and that beneficial interactions help beneficial interactions. So that healing time, that downtime, the away time, the retreat time is, very important and vital, I think, to our existence too. And I find with myself, I'm often having to find that alignment to reattune, to my own energies, because I can be very external and very much listening and aware of what's happening all around me. And although I'm aware of what's happening with me too, there's a lot that I can overlook. And so for me, the disconnection is when I disconnect from myself, from my true being, and from who I am and what I need, right? Disconnecting from that, and then reminding myself how I can be in right relationship with myself, how to actually nurture myself and my well-being, and support myself, in my own needs, as well as I support the others. And that's where we can come into alignment and harmony and balance, is when we have that give and receive. And there's a big difference between taking and receiving as well. There's a big difference in that. And so now I'm wanting to know what it would take to actually restore respect, which we mentioned earlier, to restore love and appreciation and reverence for life. And I'm also curious how you're doing this in your work. How does your work individually contribute to this? Because I know that you're all doing really amazing work to help uplift humanity and raise the vibration of the planet. So I'm really curious about how your work also contributes to this restoration of love and appreciation, respect, and reverence. So Julie, do you want to share first?
Yeah, this question excites me. For me, it always has to come back to the self, because if we don't love ourselves, how can anybody else love us? And so I have this wee formula that I have spoken about and use it with my community, because first of all, we have to acknowledge how we feel about ourselves. And for me, I never used to be able to say this when I was younger, of course, but I love myself. I really love myself. And it's so powerful and empowering to be in that place. Doesn't mean to say that there's things about myself that I might get disappointed about, or it's just like, oh, damn, I've put on a lot of weight and I don't like that. But that doesn't stop me from loving myself. And so first of all, it's about acknowledging how we really feel, like how much do we love ourselves. Then we accept the inner healing, and because I believe there's always inner healing to do, which is exciting, because that means for our whole life we keep up leveling and evolving into a better woman, man, whatever. And so we do when we're in that place of self-love where we can go, yes, I fucking love myself. It's so good to be here. I feel like I can conquer a lot of things. And it's not from ego. This is just loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are, which then brings the self-worth, the self-confidence, the magnetism, and the manifesting. So when we're in that place, we attract, and people want a bit of that. They go, oh, I want some of what you've got, you know. And honestly, I came from a place of not loving myself at all when I was younger, through being bullied and abused, etc., etc. So to be in this is like, I am unapologetic, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because I have to be me, to be in my truth, to love myself. So then I can help other people. Like that self-love ripples out into the world. So it's taking responsibility and helping create that ripple effect. That's me.
Yay, that ripple effect. I love that. And what I see from here in that is you're embodying life. And that's embodied leadership, what you're talking about right
Absolutely.
now. Yeah,
Yeah,
and really accepting and stepping into that spiritual sovereignty, you know?
absolutely. And
Uh,
turning 60 was the best year of my life. I'm 65 now, but you know, it was like a light bulb turned on, and this is it, and this is life, you know. And yeah, it's a very exciting time in life. It has been for me, other than becoming a mother. Yeah, so it's like we have so much to look forward to. And I do see people reaching this much earlier than what I did, which I absolutely love. And again, it's our own life journey, our own cycle, and the challenges and whatever it is that we've been through that makes us who we are today. And that's what I love, even through all the abuse, sexual abuse, everything. I love the woman I have become through those challenges. So, yeah.
and now, Julie, in your work, how do you contribute to the restoration of love and appreciation? How does that show up in your work?
With my work, so I work a lot. My mission is to guide women into self-love and rising unapologetically. And it's beautiful because I bring in the ritual through the witchcraft. I'm an astrologist, so we look at their blueprint. I'm a clinical aromatherapist of 31 years, so I bring a lot of that in where we work with the power of scent, and it has a direct link to the brain. So we're able to retrain the brain and create neural pathways. So there's science and magic that is brought together, and creating community of women that support each other. But they have to come back to themselves and support themselves first. So it's about being seen, having your voice, and yeah, rising unapologetically. So
Yay, I
that's where
love
I
it.
lead. Yeah.
Thank you for your service to humanity. Alexa, what do you think it would take to bring us back into love and appreciation and all of the things that bring us into the reverence for life once again?
I'm so big on the soul and the soul journey. And so, like Julie said, that self-love is coming back to your soul, right? Because we all are love. And as I've done that, I think everyone deserves that journey. It's not always for everybody, and it's sad to see, but it is a beautiful journey. And in connection to feeling connected to ourselves in the beginning, right? Feeling disconnection. The other thing that I think, there's 3 points that I really like to bring home to everyone, is the connection between our soul, our home, and our land, because those are really so important. And so I don't think there's one answer to restore, but it's the depths of the soul of the land, the soul of your home, and the soul of you, and coming home to all of them. And how our land is really our foundation, and it is what we are. And we wear rubber shoes, and we have a foundation in our home to disconnect us from the land. And we've been conditioned. And then so it's to restore ourselves is to come back to the ways of the sacred being, and just the simple ways, truly. And really come into silence. One of the things I love to do with my boyfriend specifically, I can practice on him, is I tell him to get silent, like really silent. And he gets so uncomfortable. And I'm like, right there in that discomfort is where you can meet yourself at the next level. Because that is the truth of where we're uncomfortable with ourselves, and how we can start to restore respect, love, and then grow into a deeper appreciation with ourselves. And it really has to do with connecting back to the deeper connection to the earth and our spiritual guides, and the soul that lives within ourselves, that is God, that is the goddess, that is the divine light that we were created with, and coming back to that.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And I love those 3 connection points, those 3 major touch points to go deep into that. That's beautiful, Alexa. And I'm wondering how your work contributes to that as well.
Yeah.
How does that come through your work?
Yeah, thank you for asking. For me, I thought for a while that I was going to help people evolve on their soul journey. And what I've gathered, and I guarantee a lot of you feel the same, as you've evolved on your soul journeys, you do all this work with yourself, or you go see someone, you come home, and you don't want to come home because a part of you is like, I felt so good in that space. And you have to wake up to like the reality around you, right? That, your neighbor down the street still yelling at you, or that you have to go back to the grocery store and it's a matrix store, or whatever it is. And what has been my soul work is reconnecting people back to their land. For a while myself, I've wanted to run from New England. I live in New England, the States, and it's a very heavy area. There's a lot of history here, and so is it in our homes. And so what I do and show people is how to reconnect back to their land and their home, so that it can heal them. Because our home is the only place that we get to allow ourselves to be our truest selves, even including naked, right? And if our home is sick, or if our home is unhealthy, it's only going to do that to us. And as we women are not working at an office building, because no, why would we want to do that? We're in our homes. We need our soul work to be uplifted by the energy and the frequency of our land coming through our home, and our home coming through us. And so beyond just saging or smudging, I actually clear the energy, the soul, the mindset, and the physical misalignments in your home and in your land, and help you reconnect back to the history that once walked the land. Because just like we're tired of everyone walking all over ourselves, so is the land. And that's the true way to reconnect back and start healing the world, is by healing the land. Because otherwise, those other people whom you can't stand, that are always so negative, are going to start to wake up, because you're going to be doing something really powerful to the land. And they're like, oh my goodness, it's so wonderful and happy all of a sudden here in this town, because you've been doing that work on the land and been shifting it and saying hello to it. Because if you walked in the streets and you saw me, you would say hello. But when was the last time you said hello to your land? And your land needs some love, because that's how we're going to heal the world, is healing the land. So that's what I do.
Yes. I love that so much. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa.
I love
How
that.
do we bring it all back? Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell this story. I used to do a lot. I lived on many acres, and I would hike the property all the time, and I would make medicine wheels and do all this, bless the land. Our land was full of wildflowers, and the property next to us was not. It's like you could visually see the land was happy. So I just made me smile. So thank you for your work, Alexa. And yeah, I will say, it is about coming home to your own divinity. It's about, embodying the truth of who you are. That's what's going to help us restore the earth. We are all individuals and here for a unique reason. And to understand our uniqueness, not everybody does things the same way. We're not supposed to. I have kids that are in their 30s, and they get really worried about what's happening in the world, as of course everybody does, but I'm just saying they want to do everything. And it just brings things home to me, like we each have our own unique way of contributing to what's going on in the world. And I know for me and most light workers, it's to bring the light, it's to shine the light. And so one of the ways to restore is to be in your joy, to know what supports that joyful nature that you are born to be, and create supportive environments so that you can be in that joy, or whatever supports you, whether it's I need a bathtub so I can take a salt bath, or I need, to be on, raw land so that I can make my medicine well, or whatever it is. What supports you, knowing that, so that you can continue to do your practices that make you feel whole and divine and back to yourself. I think that's really what will help to restore and contribute to the frequency balance, the harmony that we want to see. So yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you align that values and the vision in your work? How does that come through, and how is that expressed through what you do, Lisa?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I work with women who are really accomplished, but they're on a mission to use more of their spiritual gifts. And so it's really about helping them understand what their unique zone of genius is, and helping them gain clarity. I'm really, really good at clarity, and helping them create success in a new way. I channel, and so I use my channeling gifts, my spiritual guidance gifts. I'm a business strategist, so I use all of my gifts to help with the clarity and unlocking and activating my clients so that they're on their highest soul path, so that they can really harness their magic and have the extraordinary life that is our birthright, without the struggle, without the interference, without all of the stuff that really weighs us down. So yeah, I use a process that I've been using for the last maybe 6 years. And yeah, that's what I do.
Amazing. Yeah. Can you imagine everyone right now that's listening and watching what life would be like without the struggle?
Yeah.
And Lisa, it sounds like you're really leading with generosity, of sharing your gifts, bringing them out into the world, and using all of what you have to help uplift humanity, like to help people live extraordinary lives. Yeah, I love that so much.
We have our experiences in life that have gifted us with all these skills, and so we are whole. And what I find with my clients is when they're leaving part of themselves out, there's a misalignment. So we have to bring all of who we are. We have to remember what we're here, and the past, the skills the lessons that we've lived through, the experiences, that's our clue. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree, we go through life gathering all these different skills and abilities and increasing our capacity to do a lot more and more and more, and sometimes that results in disconnect. Sometimes it is expansion and growth. And so for me, like, my piece feels like it's really holding the vision for harmony, for global coherence, and to co-create that, and so that's why I offer like the Wake Up and Change the World Global Summit and the weekly podcast, and get to lead panels like this and also speak on them, and really ignite one's passion, and some of you have heard this before, where I see passion a little bit differently, and that when you break up the word, it's pass I on, that I being your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime. And that's what I feel my journey's been too, to restore the love and appreciation and reverence for life, is to really live this life fully. So I love to travel and explore and go to the lands that I'm drawn to, and be with that, and to, reconnect my DNA as I go along in the journey, and meet with different cultures and bring different cultures and countries and all the diversity together, so we can see where we speak the truth in the same universal language. That where people are talking about the same kind of mission and vision for each other and the land, and absolutely incredible that we've been on this individual mission for so long, and now we're feeling the call to come together, where there's a collective mission to really amplify the message of who we came here to be and do what we came here to do. And Susan, I'm wondering how this is sitting with you, how you feel that we can restore the love and appreciation, respect, as you mentioned earlier, and then how your work it contributes to that as well.
Well, like Julie, my personal experience was from a place of trauma. And I found myself a few years ago as a teacher in a position where I came into contact with an awful lot of young girls, teenagers, who had been through similar trauma. And I found that in order to get them to a place where they could appreciate themselves, love themselves, and move forward in their life, they had to start with forgiveness, forgiving and letting it go, releasing it. And they didn't get that at first. But we would have groups, and I still have groups with young women and girls who've been traumatized. But in order to love themselves, they have to forgive the perpetrator, which doesn't sound like it would make sense, but if you hang on to that anger and hurt, that other person wins. And so to forgive, not to forget, to forgive, remember the lesson, and release the pain. Then they could move on to where we would use prayer, we would use essential oils, aromatherapy, all kinds, whatever it took to get them to a place where they said, okay, I respect myself now. And then they could respect others. Then they could learn to respect the land again and move forward. And I feel a real burden for people in that position. And so I offer groups, and I offer free ebooks to a lot of the people I work with can't afford to buy a book. So what I offer is often free. And so we start with forgiveness, and we move all the way to respecting the land and the creatures and the plants and the trees. And for so many of my group members, yeah, that's new stuff. That's brand new stuff. Never heard it before. And no one had ever respected them, so they didn't even understand what self-respect was about. So
wow.
I love what I do, and I hope and pray that it makes a big difference in restoration.
It sounds like it. Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like it already has, Susan, and will continue to. And talk about generosity, about doing all of this for free. My goodness, that's so heart-centered and so something that you must be called to, to be able to do that. And sacrifice, the word sacrifice used to be from the origin to make sacred. And it sounds, Susan, that you've sacrificed so much to be able to bring these gifts, to do that, without, any kind of monetary gain or compensation. That's how you're creating sacred, through sacrifice, and all of us in some way through sacrifice have been able to make sacred, and that's how we can think about our time and energy too. When we think about what we're sacrificing, how are we making this sacred? There's that shift in thinking where we can restore even that word into its original meaning. Yeah. And the power of forgiveness that you spoke about, and being able to forgive, to release the emotional attachments to the person, place, or thing, not necessarily forgetting, like you say, but releasing that emotional attachment so you can feel the freedom in that and really free your spirit to direct the life that you're actually meant to live. So now I'm really curious about what if we did actually succeed in our mission to bring back the sacred, what would that look like? How do you think our lives would be impacted? How would that people, there would be connections. Let's see what Sophia's written here. There's Denise Blackney, who made a comment. What I have seen in community, oh, just moved. What I have seen in community disconnections is that people live in fear of judgment or expectation. So it's hard for people to connect when in fear. Yeah. People want connection, yet it's their self-beliefs that stops them to stepping out and connecting. I love that. And then she also said that the disconnection is from ourselves and allowing ourselves to be part of the collective. We have lost the way of knowing that self is the most important, and to come back to this love, in truth, no matter what. It always begins with self, and from there, the world will change, feeling the truth of everything. Denise, I love what you shared there. Thank you so much. And absolutely. Yeah, thank you. This has been beautiful. We'll watch the rest later. Okay, Denise, there will be the replay. Thank you so much. And yeah, there's actually just a few minutes left. We're just about to wrap up here, but I want to leave on a note where we can hold this vision together of what life would be like if we were to bring back the sacred in our lives. Alexa, what do you think? What would that look like?
Physically, you mean, or just in general?
What do you see? What would it mean if we were to bring back the sacred? How would that impact our lives and even the world?
I think that where our world is going with such a technology and science, I think that with our world being such a metaphysical place, that technology is only going to lead to spirituality, because half of when you reach such a diverse place in technology, you're going to reach the metaphysical, and they're going to start to see. And why I say that is because the people who are already diving into the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the sacred medicine and wisdom within our souls, it's all going to come together, and we're going to see the harmony. And I think that bringing back the sacred really means bringing back the magic, bringing back the divinity. And so it's not just all logic, because that's just boring and really rigid and really tiring. And so just constricting on our hearts and on our passion and on our play. And so we already have the logic here in the world. We need the play. We need the magic back. And we need both, because we do need both. And so I think by more of the divine feminine rising and that bringing back that magic, it's only gonna transform the world.
Yes, love it. Susan, what do you have to add to that?
Well, I agree. The world would become more magical, not Disney magical, but magical in that the land would speak to us, all of us, not just a few lucky ones. The land and the people and creativity, it would all be connected, and everything that we do, everything we say would be sacred, and everybody would live that way, that life is sacred. And that would be a wonderful world.
It would be a wonderful world where everything is sacred. Thank you for that. Lisa, what does our world look like bringing back the sacred?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like creating the world that we want, and everybody gets to choose what they're creating. But when we operate from our own divinity, then we are going to create a wonderful world together. And I really, I believe that we're not here to struggle. I believe that we are here to learn to have it all, to be in joy, to be supported, we are sourced and supplied always, and we just need to tap back into that. And it's possible, and I see it happening. It's happening in my life. I see it happening all around, and so that is where we're headed.
Oh, I love that too. Yes, that's where we're headed, and it is happening. You see it, Lisa. I believe you. I believe you. Julie, what do you think our world looks like, bringing back the sacred?
Do you remember John Lennon's song, Imagine?
I do.
Yeah. So that is my desire, for the world to all come together and live as one. Because we are one, there is no denying that. It's just that many people don't understand that yet. And that song always it sits in my heart, because it is about imagining. And I do that. I visualize it and I imagine it, and sometimes it's hard to be in the mundane. We've got to have the magic, but we've got to have the mundane. And it's, we've got to move through all that mundaneness to be able to create the magic. So those are my last words, like, imagine all the people living as one in this beautiful world that we are so blessed to be on. And that comes with loving our Mother Earth and taking care of her and all of our creatures, and because we're one with her as well. So part of my mission in my work is to help people to connect with that and know that we're not, we're separate, but we're not. So
Yeah, I love that. Individual, but having the energy of oneness, of allness, right?
Yeah.
Of allness, all in this together, all connected, all of our relations, and each individual person feeling like they belong here. That they actually belong here. You belong here. Who you are makes a difference. And we are all co-creating global harmony. We are creating a culture of conscious creation and deep reverence for life. In Sacred You.Love, who's hosting this event and this panel discussion tonight, his whole motto is to touch lives everywhere and bring about more and more deep connection and bringing people together to live in alignment, in truth, and in deep resonance. And Sophia is going to tell us a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, everyone, for a wonderful and absolute incredible topic. I mean, this speaks to my heart. I'm been sitting here and thinking, I should have put myself on the panel. Bringing back the sacred. Oh, my God, it's like bringing back the connection to ourselves. And, thank you. Thank you ever so much. So for everyone who's watching, and we do have quite a few people watching, including the beautiful Denise. Thank you, Denise, for so many of your comments. I've been putting them in here for all the panelists. What do I say? Click on the links below. We've got all the links for all these beautiful women who have just taken out an hour of their time to talk about how we can bring back the sacred. Do click on the links and connect with these amazing women who are from all over the world. We are actually global today, which is really, really, really wonderful. And do look out for the ones that are coming up. The next events, we do have our next event, Selfishness is the Start of Your Journey to Inner Peace, which is next week, in just 1 week's time. So do check that out. Come back and see us. And of course, you can come and join us. Before we go, Jennifer, if I may, before we go very, very quickly, of course, Sacred You is honoured to be able to present all these panel discussions, but we're also really honoured to have the basis of all our special interest tribes. And we've got 2 of our hosts with us today. We've got over 20-something tribes. But with us today, we've got Lisa, who's the host of the
Magical
Playground. Thank you. Tell us about that, Lisa.
Yeah, Magical Playground is I co-host with Josette Diaz, and we do really fun intuitive art practices. It's all about creating the life that you want, and we do that through art and meditations and intuitive play. So come join us. We actually meet tomorrow. Tomorrow, Thursday.
Yes, in 2 days' time. In 2 days. And of course, being creative is all about connecting with the sacred. It really, really is when we allow ourselves to do that. And it's especially important for all the entrepreneurs in the world. So I thoroughly recommend that one. And an amazing Julie that has an incredible sacred tribe with all the rituals and everything. Tell us about your tribe, Julie.
The bewitching tribe, of course.
Yes.
I bring in astrology, the essential oils and perfumery. We do writing, we do ritual, we look at the stars and dance with them. We do a bit of art as well, because I'm an artist. So I do so want to get to the magical playground, but it's the time which is really hard. So yeah, fun is really important to me. So we're cheeky, we have a lot of fun, and we are about rising unapologetically. And I guess because I've spent many years lecturing and teaching, that the bewitching tribe sometimes is like an educational place for learning about the stars and magic and aromatherapy on a subtle level, energetic level. So lots of magic, and I would love you to join us. And yeah, that's on a Friday, Australian Daylight Savings Time.
In 2 days' time. So looking forward to that. So that's just some of our tribes. And of course, everyone can join us just for $1 Australian. Come and try out the magical playground, the bewitching tribe, or any of our other tribes for 2 weeks, just for $1 Australian. Then after that, it's only $20 Australian a month to continue. And you get to connect with these amazing women, including our incredible facilitator, Jennifer, who isn't a tribe host yet, but is part of the Sacred You Council and our resident blogger. So click on the links to check out all of Jennifer's blogs. Incredible blogs. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you ever so much. And again, thank you to Susan and to Aliska and to Julie and Lisa for an incredible conversation. I look forward to part 2.
Yes, with you speaking too, Sophia.
But I really look forward to part 2. I'm looking forward to that one. We'll have to organize it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.